Absolutely extraordinary to see all that history. I mean, I had no idea that that museum actually existed, and it's so beautifully preserved. Now to these 3 days of commemorations to mark the 80th anniversary of victory in the Pacific, honouring, of course, the end of World War II and the city's critical wartime role. It's a big deal up there for the people of Townsville, as it should be. Joining us to talk more about the significance of the commemoration, war historian and battlefield tours operator Mat McLachlan. Matt, great to see you again. What was the actual the size of the role of Townsville in that operation? I mean, obviously it must have been big, even though MacArthur was based in Brisbane.
Yeah, Townsville was really important, Pricey, during the whole war. It was a major base, a major training area. A lot of US submarines came in and out of there. So like many towns in Northern Australia, it was absolutely essential to the war effort against the Japanese. So it's great that 80 years after the end of the war, the people of Townsville are commemorating as well. They should. Still a very important part of Australia's defence strategy, and it was the case in World War II as well.
80th anniversary this weekend of the end of the war in the Pacific, VP Day. Australian newspaper this morning ran that famous picture of the man dancing in Martin Place in Sydney with all the ticker tape everywhere. What would the celebrations have been like this weekend 80 years ago in our country, Matt?
Well, I don't think we can quite comprehend it, Pricey, just what a big deal this was, because we've been at war for 6 years, and not just 6 normal years, 6 very long and very bloody years. And we fought through North Africa and Tobruk and El Alamein, and then all through New Guinea, and then up into other islands in the Pacific, such as Bougainville and onto Borneo. And just every step of the way was just bloodshed and terror for the people of Australia. So you can imagine their relief when finally the Japanese were defeated in August 1945. We'd already seen the Germans surrender in May 1945, and now several months later, the Japanese surrendered as well. But we should also realise that it came as actually quite a surprise to people because, of course, the American nuclear program that actually ended the war was a total secret. So people were expecting the war to carry on throughout 1945 and well into 1946. So the fact that in mid-1945 the war came to a sudden conclusion was just incredibly warmly received by the people of Australia.
Events that you know so well, just briefly, it was a very brutal war to the north of us and in the Pacific. I mean, you think about places like Sandakan, Kokoda Trail, the Burma Railway, the internment camps in Singapore. It was pretty vicious and brutal, wasn't it, Matt?
Yeah, that list you put out there, Pricey, just speaks of the horror of this war. And that's, of course, entirely separate from what was going on in Europe. We know about the horrors of the Holocaust and savage fighting on the Eastern Front and the battles through Normandy. And then you think about what was going on in the Pacific from Pearl Harbor onwards. And it's one of the things I think that is really important to remember, not just the people who were fighting in the Pacific, but also the civilians that came under Japanese rule. And the Japanese were just brutal occupiers of those nations. And it's estimated that up to 400,000 civilians a month were dying under Japanese occupation in Asia. So if we want to talk about brutal fighting, there's nothing that compares to the Second World War, the bloodiest conflict in human history. And let's just hope we never see anything like that again.
Absolutely. Good on you, Matt. Always good to catch up with you, Matt, there from Battlefield Tours. Does a wonderful job keeping history alive.